in this virtual world, how this became a frontier for a great equalizer, right? And you mentioned this encounter with this cat, just to describe. Share with us.
Yeah. So Web3 is a great equalizer. It's something that people don't really understand. And what I mean by that, it's not a credentialist system, but it's a merit-based system. So Web3 doesn't care if you have decades of experience at a top consulting firm, because it's a new space. A new space requires re-education. And the trends and narrative change even faster in the tech world. So if you don't put yourself as a perpetual student, you just cannot keep up. And the cat, yeah. So I have a member called the cat. Right? He's some guy who's very proud to be on the spectrum, because he definitely is on the spectrum. He's a trader. He's a GP at the top funds in the space right now. So a friend actually introduced us, and I was like, okay, who's this guy? He's like, oh, this is someone you got to meet. I took a call with him. It was just a cat. It was an avatar of a cat. All right. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his age. I didn't know where he's from. I didn't know where he worked at. But the fact that we kept having meaningful conversations for a prolonged period of time, and then we ultimately met in Singapore during one of the previous Token 2049 events. And I realized that, hey, the offline connections actually cemented this our relationship, our rapport. So you don't, in the old world, it's very credential focused, like LinkedIn, Facebook. You have your profile picture up, you have your credentials up, and that's how people actually network online. But I think Web3 actually empowers people like that. I think this is not even a Web3 thing right now. It's a digital thing happening, especially on Twitter.
So with this, it's the Web3 ethos that you spoke about on X as well. So what's this Web3 ethos if we were trying to, imagine this Web3 world?
Yeah. So the Web3 ethos is actually it's highly synonymous with the original vision of the creator of the internet, Tim Berners-Lee. So he had a vision of the internet that was open, democratic. What I mean by that is is that it facilitated the open exchange of information and ideas. But the kicker of this was that the original internet was supposed to be rid of intermediaries. And right now, it actually moved back to centralized governance, where you have your tech incumbents like your Google, your Facebook, and Amazon dominating this information or data layer. So actually, we are all commoditized assets in this big ad network. So Web3 actually aims to break those intermediaries. And actually, if you think about it, the ideology of Web3 is also synonymous with the idea of authoritarian control and democracy. Yeah. So it's a movement, actually. It's a movement of where the underdogs actually are trying to challenge the incumbents. So I think certain references are Wall Street Bets, trying to take down the financial incumbents. So Wall Street Bets, for those who don't know, it's like a subreddit community made of millions, and they went to short Melvin Capital. As of recent times, I attribute the success of Trump winning elections to Twitter as well. And Twitter actually is a community, and crypto Twitter actually helped that a lot as well.
And that's all the possibilities of Web3, right? Being, the decentralization, and as you say, with that pursuing that whole ideology of authoritarian control and democracy, right? And just coming to mind, then wouldn't this make communities for the future more inclusive?
Yeah, I do believe that Web3 communities are definitely more inclusive than Web2 communities. So I need to thread this back to ARC. So ARC is the Web3 collective that I run right now. We have two different user personas: confident thrivers and interesting risers. So confident thrivers are people who have achieved relative success in their lives. They're usually older. They're usually very time-starved. So they're like your founder of a project. You have the founder of a top VC. If you're billionaires, you're unicorn founders, blah, blah, blah. On the other end of the spectrum, you have interesting risers. So they are the more growth-minded, dynamic individuals. Could be people working at a FANG company. It could be a young kid working at a top crypto company, so on and so forth. So what we do at ARC is that I have a thesis that the end state of a thriving, engaged community is that your community becomes an extension of your core team. So we track what we call, our main OKR is called community health.
Community health.
community health. So, one of the key metrics that we track for community health is the number of active contributors that we have over a time period. And I always tell my members this. I'm actually just catering to their core motivations to supercharge brand loyalty into them. Right? And if I want to cater to their core motivations, I have to give them value. So through me and my team, we do one-on-one interviews or surveys with our members all the time to create a very strong feedback loop. We understand their 4 top motivations or what they perceive as value. So it's like access to network with the right people, access to growth opportunities, access to make money, and status. Right? But value is a finite resource, just like most things in life. How am I able to actually distribute value to them equitably? And what we do so you have a contribution system and reward system, where we measure or where we track whether members have contributed, even if it's a famous celebrity who is in my community but he doesn't want to contribute. We do not distribute value to them. We distribute it to people who actually put in work. Because Web3 is a very contributory and participatory type of a ecosystem. And this is what actually is driving my company.
Exactly as you said, and everybody has to embrace the Web3 ethos for this to work.
You can go down the far end of the spectrum, but then you don't even have to go down the far end of the spectrum. You just have to understand it's merit-based. It's merit-based, not credential-based.
So how do you see this community evolving into the near future?
Evolving in the near future?
Because you mentioned a lot about communities, and it's sounding like growth, whether it's growing the community or growing businesses in Web3 ecosystem, it's community-led growth.
Yeah. So going back to the, what I said about this technological and cultural shift, right? It redefines this concept of whatever you mentioned, community-led growth. So community-led growth is not a native Web3 term. It's actually a Web2 tech whole grail that they seek, right? Which in definition is that once your product or your company has found product market fit, and you understand that revenues and user acquisition has plateaued, right? Instead of placing so much focus on your product, shift the focus to your community instead, to your users instead. In some cases, actually in many cases, the big tech companies would even use part of their marketing budget to actually incentivize their users. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to transition their users from mere customers to members, right?
Can you give real-life examples on that you see, like any brands right now that's close to that?
Harley Davidson is the #1 example for this, right? They are members does marketing for them. They do marketing for them. They host events for them. They advocate the Harley Davidson wholeheartedly. Sometimes it's like with their lives. So imagine the cost savings if you actually execute this while within your company. But I also want to talk about, how if the old definition of community-led growth is also changing the way that marketing funnels work. So traditional marketing funnel is linear. So you open your funnel at the top, you push your customers down all the way down the funnel until they ultimately transact or they buy a product for you, then they seep out the funnel. If you actually transition your users to members, your funnel actually becomes non-linear. So the same thing, you open the funnel at the top, you push your customers down, they are stuck in the middle of the funnel through a well-designed community experience. So my community experience is like catering their core motivations. If you do this well, you actually retain their attention, and this is very important because we are heading into an attention economy right now. So attention is the key resource of the world right now.
Attention economy.
Yeah. But if you're able to trap them, trap their attention in the middle of your funnel, you'll be able to drop products at the side, non-stop. I think a good example is Alibaba, Alipay versus WeChat Pay, right? Both of them want to be a super app. WeChat has a significantly more higher DAU, and more stickiness than Alipay as a super app. Why is that, right? Tech people would say that, because WeChat's a very sticky product. But if you unpack it a little further, it's actually the community experience that's built around the chat, the social aspect of it. Your friends are there, your colleagues are there, your families are there. So you're trapped in their funnel. Yeah. So it's important, yeah.
I'm just rethinking all the apps that I'm using and what kind of funnels that they're putting all of us into. That's really fascinating. And you said that because, post-COVID and the growth of blockchain and crypto, it also created additional value proposition out of the concept via shared ownership, right, that blockchain brings. Can you share a little bit more on this?
Yeah. So then, I missed that, right? Community-led growth also has a very different value prop than the old definition. So what we do at ARC, right, our members not only, because of the idea of shared ownership, not really through the blockchain, but the token itself. The token actually gives that shared ownership.
The tokens give the, so let's slow it down, because not everybody is familiar with Web3.
Yeah.
Again, token, shared ownership. Explain that, please.
Yeah, I mean, like, imagine like you have like, okay, let's just say I have a soccer team, right? My company is like, equity is like, is based out of shares, right? How am I going to distribute shares to everyone? With a token, I can distribute that better, more efficiently. Yeah. So that's a simple logic actually that goes a very, very long way. So at ARC, our members not only do marketing for us, they not only do community management for us, they not only do user acquisition for us, they not only help us build the brand up, they not only help us chase revenue, but they also fundraise for us. So I just recently closed a fundraise and the round was entirely seeded by my community, made up of both institutions and also angels. So, yeah.
So eventually you were saying that you're building a digital-first institution.
Yeah.
Share more.
Yeah, so the core activities of ARC are project incubation, advisory, investments, validating nodes, which is something very native to crypto, which I shouldn't go into here.
So what is this thesis that you're chasing after?
The thesis? Community as a brand, So at ARC, we're very proud to be one of the first groups in the world to actually ride out a whole thought leadership. So it's not just me, it's my team as well, right? And we are building upon a thesis of community as a brand, where people are indeed our product. I believe we are one of the truest form of community as a brand. So you're right, I am building a digital-first institution born out of a highly aligned community. And this is actually no longer a thesis for us. This is something that we're actually doing right now, and this is why we have quite a lot of mind share in the space right now.
I see.